Hello. So today, since we're doing some knife stuff, or have been in the past, I wanted to talk about a knife that I picked up kind of on accident, kind of on purpose. Years ago, I used to have what's called it was a Gerber Guardian, or Bodyguard, I forget which. I believe it was a Gerber Guardian. Nice little boot knife, good blade shape, wide ears to the side, and it was held into its sheath by two hooks that held it fairly well, but not secure enough that it was difficult to pull out with, and pull the sheath out of your boot or whatever. Haven't seen one in a very long time, and I was walking through a store and I saw something that looked similar. I saw this, which was about the same size and similar to color to some that I'd seen. So not being able to take it out of the package because it came in a package, I really looked it over. I was really excited because it said Smith & Wesson. I own a few Smith & Wesson firearms. I'm very happy with them. So I said, sure, why not? Looks decent in the package. The price was not awful, but, it was a decent price. So I picked it up, and I got it home, took it out of the packaging, and I should have known better by looking at the steel that it was made out of. But I want to go ahead and talk about the knife, and then we'll talk about it. So once again, we've got a rubberized handle. It is a full tang piece. The sheath is a two-piece plastic grommeted together, and it has a molded clip on the back. It comes with this super fancy neck chain that if you really want to use, you can. I'm going to take it off because it's kind of in the way. Once again, it's a simple bead design. It's a simple bead design. Not really a necessary thing. So, what's holding it in is tension between the plastic and the rubber that's on the handle. One of the things that I did not like off the bat was how flimsy and thin the sheath was. The other thing I didn't like right off the bat was the soft rubber on the handle. And it's not what you would usually consider soft, but it is, in my opinion, too soft for a knife. When you go to remove it from the sheath, you can feel the rubber giving slightly. Not a great thing, in my opinion. It feels kind of like you're sliding. But I can see where, especially in wet work, it might be nice. They have some texturing here on the sides for gripping. One of the things that I didn't like was, you can see here on the old Gerber Guardians, if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a long time, it flared up slightly and swelled before the blade so that your thumb or finger wouldn't slide up onto the blade. Not the biggest problem in the world, but it can be. And as you can see, she swelled out here so that you have something to grip on, so you're really only holding it in one way. The blade is nice. It's definitely within legal standards in most jurisdictions due to the length. It is beveled as if it's to be double-edged. However, it's only sharpened on one side. That's not great, but I can understand if they're trying to sell these in jurisdictions where you can only have one-edged blades. I can understand why they did that. I can forgive that. What I cannot forgive is whoever ground this edge was drunk. It wanders. It's not straight at all. In order to sharpen this, I would have to regrind this entire edge because it is just so poorly done. It just wanders like a river. So that's an issue. Anytime you have difficulty sharpening a knife, you're already running into trouble. And once again, with an edge being ground that poorly, you're going to have to kind of start it over or take forever resharpening it because you've got to take off these wanderings, and you're actually going to reduce the overall width of the blade as well when you do that. So that's really not great in my opinion. If you're going to only sharpen one side, you should at least, do it well. The other thing is the edge is not sharp at all. This is right out of the box. I understand that I'm a little particular. The joke is that you can shave with all my knives, and it's pretty true. But there's very little edge to this, even where it's not wandered. The tip is really bad. They kind of fell right off when they ground the tip, so again, that would have to be redone. And if you lived in a place where double edges are legal, you would have to start basically with a file on this side. So those are some things I don't like. And like I said, you can hold it in these manners. The handle is short, but one expects a short handle with a boot knife. It's not meant to be a full one. And once again, I also have larger hands, so that could be an issue. But there's really nothing great about this knife other than it's made out of steel. And since we're talking about that, let's discuss the steel it's made out of. On the package, it says 7CR17 MOV high carbon stainless. And what that means is it's a chrome molybdenum stainless. However, when you go ahead and look that alloy up, what you're actually getting is basically 440 stainless. It's just a fancy way of basically saying that you're getting 440 stainless. Now, I know that it's not the same chemical composition. However, durability, wear, etc., that's basically what you're getting. Now, a lot of people say there's nothing wrong with that, and there isn't. It is becoming an industry standard. It is not what I would want a knife made out of. I don't find it to be a very good steel for sharpening, resharpening, etc. I tend to prefer carbon blades and stuff that's a little bit better made than this. But once again, if you're used to that kind of a steel, it's not a big, but for me, it's a downside. As to the way it goes into the sheath, I mean, it can be a little difficult, and it doesn't really feel secure. You don't feel a snap. It does wiggle a little in there. You can hear it, and it does flex because, once again, it's just grommeted together plastic. But the problem is that if, over a very short period of time, this is not going to stay secure in this sheath because, once again, what's holding it in is these little rubber ears are putting tension against a beveled plastic here. It won't be too many draws before this is going to wear down, and you probably can't see it on the camera, but it's already begun, and I've only had this for a few days. If you absolutely had to have a knife, sure, go ahead and buy it. I want to say it was $15. I expected better from something with the name Smith & Wesson on it. Probably should have known better, seeing where I sold it, where I bought it from. But this is not something I would recommend. If you're going to buy a boot knife, I would look for a Guardian or any of the other Gerbers that are fairly well made. This is definitely not one that I would pick up. You know, this was kind of an impulse buy. I said, hey, you know, how bad can it be? It's not great. You know, if I had no knife at all, this would probably be a great knife. But seeing as I have other knives, this is definitely not something I would carry or take into the woods or have to rely on for anything other than the basics, because honestly, it's just not going to be great for anything. The blade is fairly thin. Even for a boot knife, it's a little thin, but once again, I can understand what they were aiming for. You know, it's maybe an inch wide, so you're not going to do a whole lot of cutting. If this knife was well executed, if the blade geometry was better, if it was ground on both sides, if it had a case that fit it properly, this would be a great little knife shape and a great little boot knife. Unfortunately, there's a lot of failings here, and this is just my opinion. I hope no one gets too upset about this, but I really would not recommend buying one of these Smith & Wesson ones. I believe this is the HRT. Yeah, this is the HRT. Just save up a little bit more money and get something a little better. So that's just a little review on a knife that I've seen kicking around for a couple of years, and like I said, I finally picked one up because I was just staring at it, and unfortunately I kind of wish I hadn't. So thank you very much. If you've had different experiences, or if you've got one that you would like to suggest that would be in the same vein that I would like better, please leave it in the comments. I really look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.